Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Tuesday, November 29th, 2022. Welcome to day 679. The United States Senate passed the Respect for Marriage Act, codifying federal protections for same-sex and interracial marriages. While the legislation does not force states to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, it does require them to recognize all marriages that were legal where they were performed and to protect current same-sex unions. The bill also repeals the 1996 Defense of Marriage Act, which defined marriage as between one man and one woman. Prior to the vote, Chuck Schumer said, quote, "For millions and millions of Americans, today is a very good day, a day that's been a long time coming," end quote.
Today, the long but inexorable march towards greater equality advances forward. By passing this bill, the Senate's sending a message to every American that every American needs to hear. No matter who you are or who you love, you too deserve dignity and equal treatment under the law.
The bill's passage sends it back to the House for another vote and then to Biden's desk for his signature. Congressional leaders also vowed to pass legislation ASAP to avert a nationwide rail strike, saying they agree with Biden that a railroad strike in the coming weeks would put the economy at risk. A rail strike could happen as early as December 9th. In a statement, Biden said, quote, "I am calling on Congress to pass legislation immediately to adopt the tentative agreement between railroad workers and operators without any modifications or delay to avert a potentially crippling national rail shutdown," end quote. In September, the White House helped broker a tentative deal, but members of the largest unions rejected the proposal because it didn't address scheduling and paid time off issues. Moving on, a federal jury convicted Oath Keepers founder Stewart Rhodes of seditious conspiracy for plotting to forcefully disrupt the transfer of power after the 2020 election. Kelly Meggs, who ran the Florida chapter of the Oath Keepers at the time of the January 6th attack, was also convicted of seditious conspiracy and other felonies. The crime of seditious conspiracy carries a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. Meanwhile, Mark Meadows was ordered to testify to the grand jury investigating Trump's efforts to overturn the election in Georgia. Meadows had asked the state Supreme Court to block a subpoena for his testimony, arguing that his appearance before the grand jury was barred by executive privilege. In a brief opinion, the justices wrote, quote, "We have reviewed the arguments raised by Meadows and find them to be manifestly without merit," end quote. And finally, Kevin McCarthy disavowed the white nationalist Nick Fuentes, but declined to criticize Trump for having dinner with him. McCarthy said, quote, "The president can have meetings with who he wants. I don't think anybody, though, should have a meeting with Nick Fuentes," end quote. McCarthy added, quote, "The president didn't know who he was," end quote. Mitch McConnell, on the other hand, suggested that Trump is, quote, "highly unlikely to ever be elected president of the United States," end quote, after dining with a white supremacist and Holocaust denier. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditis.